Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk softball at first with head coach Greg Jones, and I was going to make a joke at the beginning of the segment here because you had a rare week without games during the season. I was going to say how you were relaxing, you're out on vacation, forgetting about softball. But then as we're talking off camera, you're probably making travel arrangements because of the weather and having to switch games.
Yeah, it was an interesting, really from about Thursday on, with both the logistic piece of it, trying to figure out where we were going to play and when we were going to play over the course of this coming week. And then trying to get our field ready at the same time. We kind of finally got a little bit of break in the weather and the frost started to come up. And so it's been a long, few days really grinding on the field and trying to get it ready. And we finally made some decisions. So our games against Upper Iowa will be moved to Winona now tomorrow. But yeah, just that this time of year, even if you get a day off, you don't really get a day off. So
well, let's go into what actually goes into getting your field ready, because I know we talked with Coach Polk last year, a couple of years ago, about players out shoveling the field, getting the snow off and everything. For your field, because it's a city field and it's also Winona State's field, what goes into getting that ready for play?
A lot and a little. Sometimes it's Mother Nature. You just kind of step back and let her do her work, and you wait for the right temps. And now this past week, that's been one of the challenges, is we've been trying to get ahead of that schedule. And one of the things we've honestly used forever, if there's ice on the lake, the ground is still frozen at the field because the water table is so high. And like the baseball team's been able to play at home, and we still hadn't been able to get on our field. And but what we've tried to do is turn it over every day, rake it by hand. We've been able to get the tractor on there a couple of times to try to turn it over, try to get some of that moisture out so it'll evaporate up. But we spent a good 2 or 3 days just really hammering and chipping ice. We had the ice chipper. We finally went out and bought a pickaxe and started hitting it with that. We've poured a ton of salt on it, trying to get that to dissolve the ice. We talked about renting heaters, just so you're always just trying to come up with ways to work on it, but it's basically just manpower with our coaching staff really working on it. We have at times employed the team to shovel and make big snowballs and, do things like that. But early in the year like this, it's kind of Coach T and I really just fighting between Mother Nature and as much manpower as we can to put on it.
Now, how much did that timetable get moved up this week? Because you were supposed to play Upper Iowa on Tuesday in Upper Iowa, and they get about a foot of snow. We didn't get anything here, so now you have to flip your field and get ready for game action.
Yeah, and that was late last week when the winter storm warnings and watches started to come out. That really became an interesting piece because we were trying to figure out, okay, how hard do we work if we get the snow? Do you work, and all of a sudden we get hit with snow. But you knew there was a possibility that they were going to get more than we were. And on Friday, we really kind of turned it up when we saw that the forecast was going to break in our favor, that they were going to get a lot of it and we weren't going to get any of it. I said to our team, last thing I said to them Friday night after our first practice on the field was that I'll still believe it when I see it. And I woke up Saturday morning and there was no snow, and I felt pretty good about it. So yeah, we really cranked it into high gear then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to really do a lot more field work to make sure we were ready.
All right. One of the things that we kind of touched on a little bit last week when we were talking about your team is kind of the makeup of this team. 5 seniors, 2 juniors, and then the rest sophomores and freshmen. So kind of a youngish team. How do you feel about the makeup of the team this year?
I like it, because again, we returned a lot of starters from last year's group. And one of the things I worried about at the end of last year and the beginning of this year was I didn't want the freshmen to feel like outsiders. We had won 52 games and set a school record for wins, made a great run into the postseason, and we're going to return a lot of kids that had meaningful playing time. I didn't want it to be, okay, this is our team, and now you guys got to fit into it. And it has never been that way. I think that's a credit to our seniors and to our leadership, but to all of our kids, even our freshmen, finding ways to fit in and making an impact and being able to perform at that level. But again, it comes back to our returning kids being willing to have that understanding and to be welcoming and that type of thing. And so the chemistry piece has really worked. The depth thing has been, I think, to our advantage. The fact that we can make multiple moves, whether it just be multiple pinch runners, or we can move a kid from the outfield to the mound and back to the outfield, or we can move a catcher in and bring her back, and the wheels are kind of always turning because as a coach now, you just have a lot more positive moves you can make instead of just saying, look, this is it. For better or worse, this is what we got. You know, and you can try different things. You can play the hot hand. You can play the matchups. We're very left-handed sometimes offensively, which can really work for us. And there have been a couple of times I've really felt like this is working against us. So we can switch it midstream. Either we're facing a lefty so we can get more right-handed with our hitters, or we're facing a right-handed hitter who's really working a certain part of the zone well away from our lefties, and we can take that pitch away from her by bringing more righties in. And so, you know, like a kid with a new toy, I've just had, you know, more moves to be able to make, and that's been really nice. But again, I think it comes down to the kids being able to handle it, and they've done a great job of that.
All right, we got about 2 minutes left. Let's talk about the pitching rotation, because year in and year out, that's kind of been the hallmark of Winona State, just pitcher after pitcher. Great. Right now, your team ERA is sub-2, which is incredible. Talk about your starting pitching.
It's been very good. We went down to Florida and we won 10 games with 5 different pitchers. You know, again, McKenna and Jordan really anchor that staff, but we have 5 kids who can all throw. I think Alyssa's probably thrown the fewest innings, and there's nothing that separates Alyssa from the others. It's just been time and opportunity, and I feel awful about that at times because she's really throwing the ball well in practice. But I think for all of our kids, whether, you know, you talk about Katie or Jada or Alyssa, or you're talking about, you know, McKenna and Joe, it's all about time and opportunity to get them those moments. But they're all throwing the ball well. They're all commanding the strike zone so well. They're getting ahead in the count. They've worked hard in the offseason with Cindy, getting ready for the season. But they throw strikes. They give us an opportunity to play defense behind them, and they don't give up a lot of loud contact. We were able to play, you know, easy defense behind them at times too, or for the most part. And so I think those are the keys. But it's always been, we're going to get to 4. If we get to 4 offensively, we'll win because we trust our pitching and our defense. Our defense hasn't been quite as consistent as I'd like it yet. That's coming. I think that will come. Our offense is probably a little ahead of where I thought it was, but our pitching's been right exactly where I thought it would be. And so I'm really happy with how they're throwing the ball. And again, McKenna and Joe have been able to come in relief and start, which has been really important, I think, for us, that they've been able to handle multiple roles that way. And again, then the 5 of them being able to handle the depth part of it and being ready at a moment's notice too has been important.
All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Walk-Off, and we'll talk to one of those pitchers. McKenna Larson is our guest right after this.
With our partnership with HBC, we were able to now be a smart gigabit community with US Ignite and the National Science Foundation. All their other partners are large metropolitan urban areas: Austin, Texas, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. And because of the broadband connectivity provided by HBC, we are a community lead for this initiative where we're going to be able to bring next-gen technology and stay competitive in the 21st century economy.
Providing opportunities for residential and business customers, HBC is leadership in your community.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off. Time now to get the player perspective as McKenna Larson joins us. And McKenna, thank you again for being with us. And just a reminder for people who haven't seen the show before or heard about you before, you're a 2-sport athlete at Winona State, volleyball and softball. You wrapped up an amazing volleyball career. Does it kind of help you in some way that you've already gone through kind of the senior stuff with the volleyball, now that you do it again in the softball season?
I think it might make it a little bit more surreal, I guess, that this is it. You know, everyone was like, oh, volleyball, this is it, but this is truly it with softball, and appreciate every moment so much more.
What was it like being a 2-sport athlete in college? I know that, you know, in high school you could do 3, 4 sports, but in college you get a little bit of an off season. So what do you do in that off season? Which sport do you work on? Volleyball, softball? Do you do a little of both?
A little of both, I'd say, or prepare for the next one. Well, the more time you have, I feel like the more you waste. So I was very fortunate to be busy all the time, which gave me opportunities to work on both sports all the time.
All right, I'll kind of ask both of you this question. Is there any correlation between the 2 sports? Is there anything that you learn in volleyball that you can kind of get over to softball or the other way around? Or are they 2 completely different that nothing?
No, I think a lot of stuff correlates. Obviously, like the mental side and competitive side, I feel like maybe not so much physical aspect, but knowing that you can push through kind of the mental side, I would say is very similar.
I think that the leadership side, you know, being a leader and learning how to handle and manage people. But we talk about it from a recruiting perspective, that we want to recruit kids that don't necessarily specialize in one sport. that they play multiple sports, because I think you learn just what McKenna's talking about, how to handle the mental game. If you can step up to the free throw line and hit a couple of free throws late in the game, you've got the mental capacity to stand out there as a pitcher or a hitter with the game on the line too. You're not afraid to put yourself in the arena. And I think what she's learned as a volleyball player from a leadership and the mental side absolutely has helped her, you know, on the softball side of it, even if the actual skills probably don't transfer that much.
All right, let's talk about your pitching then in softball, because again, this year you got the ball first game of the season, and I know that was a big kind of thrill for you last year. Is it the same kind of thrill this year to start the season?
I would say for sure. I mean, it's still kind of new and fresh, just like last year. Yes, it's another game, but it's also my senior year, getting the chance to pitch, so I think that makes it a little bit more special too.
All right. You had an incredible season last year in softball. I don't really know how much there is really for you to work on to get better, although obviously you did. Okay, well, let's go with that. You know, what do you work on in the off season for softball?
I think just making more of my weaker pitches stronger. I came in not really throwing a couple pitches, and now senior year you can just tell that it's a little bit better. Obviously, if I had one more year, it would be even cooler, but I think Coach could probably see that too with his pitch calling and stuff.
Okay, is there kind of a healthy competition between all the pitchers because you are so good? As I said, the team ERA is below 2. Do you kind of look at it like, well, I'm going to do better than that next time?
Obviously, I would say there's competition, but at the same time, we all help and work each other. And you know, if one person's not doing it today, you know that the other person will have your back, and vice versa. So I think that's kind of, you know, it's not just a one-man show, which is really cool, and that's what most teams have, is just one. But I think we're very blessed to have not even 2. We have 5.
All right. Last season, you had an 8-inning no-hitter against Northern State. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Were you aware during the game that you were working on a no-hitter?
I think a little bit, but at the same time, they had some. I know our defense made great plays, and I think that was really surprising. I think like the ending play was a diving catch at first or something, or one of the last innings. So obviously you try not to think about that because it doesn't matter. Obviously you just want to win, but at the same time, it's kind of hard.
Okay. We got to end on a little bit of a goofy question, as you know, we kind of try to do that a little bit. On the last game wrap-up on the Winona State website, there was a team picture, and you were all huddled around a mannequin that had a Winona State shirt and shorts. Is there anything to that?
Yeah,
actually.
actually.
Is it a team joke?
Yeah, it's kind of our team mascot, I guess you would call it. But last year, 2 of the seniors went to a store that was closing in La Crosse and just bought this mannequin, and now Manny, her name is kind of the 23rd person of our team, and just travels, and she came to Florida, she comes to pretty much everything, so it's kind of a joke.
Yeah, they found ways to get Manny on the airplane, and she's made the trip to Arkansas, she's made the trip to Florida now, and she dresses in our team colors and puts sunscreen on, and so it's, Manny's been a big part of us.
Oh, wow. Very good. Yeah. Great. Well, we'll continue to look for updates from Manny throughout the season. Good luck this week, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Walk Off. When we come back, we'll switch gears and talk about baseball. That's right after this.
Elevate your TV experience with HBC. Record up to 6 programs simultaneously. Wireless set-top boxes, 350 hours of storage, in-home streaming, Alexa, Netflix, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to learn more, or visit hbci.com/elevate.
Looking for Hewitt. No way. Did he make that catch?
If you have maybe one major telephone company providing high-speed internet service, you're at their mercy. The packages were not what we needed. Upload speeds were very, very poor. Pricing was not good. It was just a real problem, and we had no options. When HBC came calling, I was just blown away by the technology. The speeds and feeds are just unbelievable.
Providing opportunities for residential and business customers. HBC is leadership in your community.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on TV 25. Time now to talk baseball, and head coach Kyle Polk joins us. And have to assume that you're happy from last week's games, taking 3 out of 4 against Sioux Falls.
Yeah, we played well. The one game we lost, I don't know, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but our biggest thing we took away from that is, sure, we learn from it, learn from our mistakes. The next day is another new day, get ready to play some good baseball, and we did. And first game, I think it was 5-1, we won, and then the second game was an exciting extra 13 innings. So got a lot of baseball in on that day, and we finally got it with a walk-off in the bottom of the 13th.
And of course, it was your first home games of the season, so pretty happy to have those too.
Yep, exactly. The weekend before we were supposed to be at home, but because of the weather we couldn't. We were down in La Crosse, so this was a home opener. And the good thing is we're going to get a whole bunch of games in a row here at home.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And looking forward to playing at home. We generally play pretty well on our field.
Yeah, I saw a stat that I think it was since 2010, you're about 63% at home.
Yep.
So obviously you like to play at Lowry. Let's talk a little bit about the Sioux Falls games and start with the first game. You got a really good pitching performance in Caleb Schoenholtz, going, I think, 7 innings, first career complete game, 8 strikeouts. Talk about his performance.
Caleb's a guy that he's a control guy. He's not going to overpower you, but he's lefty, and lefties can get a little bit away with some more sneakier stuff, not the high velocity. But he really did a great job locating, and he got in a couple jams, but he worked hard, made good pitches, got out of those jams, and was able to get the complete game for us. And he's a battler. He's a high school wrestler. As a matter of fact, the way I saw him recruiting was when I went to watch Jake, and he actually was pitching against Jake. So we knew Jake was coming, and I talked to their coach and said, "Hey, what about the Green Bay Preble coach?" And he said, he told me, "I don't know." He goes, "I think he's a wrestler, but you can talk to him." So but we did a little talking and convinced him to play baseball instead of wrestle.
Of course, those two schools, though, Jake's school, Green Bay East and West, and then Preble, they're kind of rivals a little bit.
Yeah, they're probably they're only about 3 miles apart. And the interesting thing is, I told Jacob this too, is I went to Green Bay East for 2 years of high school.
Okay.
My sophomore and junior year, my dad was a high school coach there in basketball. We moved there and then went back to my hometown my senior year. So very familiar with the area, familiar with the teams over there, know the coaches, so as well. But Caleb, he's a battler. He's going to grind it out as much as he can, and he's going to give us every chance to be in the game.
All right, and then your offense did well, especially Derek Martin. He had a pretty good game in that first game.
Yep. He's starting to come around hitting. Defensively, he's a good shortstop. He's a really good shortstop. He's batting in the bottom of the order, but he may be working his way up a little bit. Had a good year last year for us defensively, but struggled offensively. But again, that was a freshman, so. But we needed to have a defense. At shortstop, you want a defensive guy first, and the hitting is extra. And but he's done a good job.
You said the second game of the first part of the doubleheaders is just one of those things that happen. It's a 14-0 game. So when that happens, what are some of the things that are going through your head? Are you just trying to make it through that game and then just worry about the games that are coming up?
Yeah, you just kind of once it was 7-0 and 8-0, we kind of got this. Do we have a chance to get into this? Everything we threw, they hit. We actually got 2 pitchers in that we haven't had in all year long. Got a chance to see them. One of them was Nate Santos, who was a redshirt freshman, and he threw well, so that was a plus for us and whatever. So, Brett Herbert started out, and he's one of our guys, and just didn't have it. And you get him out early a game, and then try to get some other guys in, and just kind of work on things. Even though everything we threw, every chance they had to hit a ball with a guy in scoring, the ball fell in. It was just like one of those things. What's going to happen here? And so, I see that happen to my Brewers the other day. They got beat 16-1 by the White Sox, but. That happens. It's baseball.
That's all right. My Twins are almost no-hit by the Astros and some players that probably won't even make the major leagues a couple days ago. Yep. But kind of the adage, when it rains, it pours. Defensively, you committed more errors in that game too, and you've been a very good defensive team. Yeah.
And I know we've been really good. And a lot of those games were on turf first, so we're back on a natural surface, but we still expect to make plays. And I think part of it was you lose focus. You get down that much, you lose focus. You're not paying attention. All of a sudden the ball, we tell our guys, you got to prepare that every pitch is going to be hit to you. And when you're down 7, 8, 9, 10 runs, and you kind of lose that focus, I was like, hey, I got to make a play. So that was one of the things we talked about again, making sure that we stay in the game, in the moment. Big saying I have that I got from Clint Hurdle from the Pittsburgh Pirates is always be where your feet are. Mm-hmm. And so always, if you're in the infield, be ready. Your outfield, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory, you know, but being where you were supposed to be and not wandering off and stuff. So.
And then your two most recent games, pretty good, 5-1, and then as you talked about the extra inning game, 4-3. Overall, I guess in that second day, how did the team play?
We played pretty well all day long. We the second game, the 4-3 game, the 13 innings, we had some chances in 8th and 9th inning, I think, to probably win that in regulation, and we just didn't execute. But that was, again, a learning thing for us, and that's a point of emphasis when we talked a little bit with the hitters yesterday in practice and about what we need to do in those situations. But we made some big plays defensively. We did a great job pitching. Dylan Whitaker and Nick Harold the first game did a great job, and then Austin Savory, you know, those three guys are freshmen. Pitched. Austin started the second game, won 6 innings, did great, and then Jacob came in and finished out the game with the 7 innings. And this is kind of what I envisioned him when we recruited and bring him the kind of outings that we can get out of him.
All right, want to kind of get in your mind a little bit and figure out how you make the decisions that you make. You talked about Austin, 6 innings pitched. He was pitching very well, although I think he kind of struggled in the 6th inning. When do you make your decision on when you're going to pull a pitcher?
Well, a couple things come into mind. You know, everybody talks pitch counts, but we kind of keep an eye on that, but I'm more really talking to my catcher. Is he got good stuff yet? Once you get the third time through the lineup, and you're starting to see that guy's 4th at bats, you got to start looking at that. And Austin was at 90+ pitches, and you could tell he was a little tired. And when he talked to the catcher, yeah, his breaking ball wasn't as sharp and what. So I thought, hey, this is a good time. Even though they got the 3 runs in that inning, that 6th inning, I think it's 3-3. We got a good chance to win this game yet. We're going to make the change, and we went to Jacob.
And then Jacob goes the 7 innings, as you said, and so kind of leaving him in for an extended time, just pitching that well, or is that kind of a look ahead to the next week saying, hey, you know, we got to save the rest of our pitchers?
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of the things now coming up because we're playing 2 today, possibly Friday, Saturday, but maybe Thursday, Friday, 2, and the games pile up. So you are looking at that type of scenario. What are we going to do? Plus, he was pitching really well. They had 11 strikeouts, and they didn't have a clue what they were doing, and he was getting in the counts and staying ahead, and that makes it a lot easier. Now, he threw 7 innings and threw just over 100 pitches, so he's not going to be available for today, but possibly for this weekend again, whatever. So, but yeah, you got to take a look at what do we have in the bullpen, who's available, when did they throw last, how many did they throw, how many can we project them to throw in this next game. So it's a whole lot of different things that we got to do, and we talk with our coaching staff. And my pitching coach, Ben Johnson, who's a grad assistant and played at St. Mary's, he's doing a great job for us right now with that kind of stuff.
All right, sounds good. We're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk-Off. When we come back, Jake Watskill will be our guest right after this.
NASCAR racing is about a whole lot more than just cars going around a track. It's about people who drive, people who engineer, people who plan, people who know how to put it all together. Meet the people who make the cars go round every week on Raceline. Watch Raceline here every week.
Elevate your HBC TV experience with the latest technology to hit your whole home entertainment system. Record up to 6 programs simultaneously and save up to 350 hours of your favorite shows. Pause a program you're watching in one room and pick right up where you left off in another. Video on demand, wireless set-top boxes and mobile device streaming, apps including Alexa, Netflix, YouTube, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to learn more or visit hbci.com/elevate today.
Hi, my name is Dave Adcock, one of your good friends here at HBC. I take great pride in serving our friends and neighbors in the community, and it's a privilege to also serve those who have served our country. When I deliver lunch to my friend Sil, a veteran of World War II, we not only share lunch, but we share time. And I really enjoy that connection to the community. Not only do we work here, we live here, and helping build our community is important to us, because HBC is people in your community.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off. Jake Watskill now joins us. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start off by talking about the game against Sioux Falls. You come in, you get your first win of the season. It was a 13-inning, 4-3 win. You pitched 7 innings coming out of the bullpen. Talk about getting that call and going 7 innings, pitching 100+ pitches.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to go in the game every inning and just give our team a chance to win the game and keep them in the game and hope that we are able to score and take the victory.
So are you the kind of pitcher that's going to kind of refuse to come out of the game, or are you going to be out there? Because, as we said, it was kind of a long day for you, and now you're not available for today, maybe later. But do you relish that kind of opportunity to be out there and take long innings?
Yeah, I mean, I was glad to do it. I think more, I just am happy to do anything the team asks, and I just get the job done any way possible.
As you heard Coach say, this is kind of the role that he envisioned for you when he brought you over here to Winona State. Talk about that and about, what is your role on the team this year?
I think so far just coming in close games and trying to keep the game where it's at and just doing the best I can to keep it there and give our team a chance to win the game.
All right. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his high school career, but what did you see out of him when you were doing your recruiting of him?
Well, number one, I like the frame, the size. We're looking at that. He was a guy that was probably 84 to 86 coming out of high school. Saw him at a showcase in Appleton. That was the first time I really saw him, whatever, and then saw him pitch a couple times. But he was a guy who threw strikes, control, had some really good games of strikeouts in high school. But I always tell him that doesn't always relate to college. But with being able to have those strikeouts means he's a guy who's throwing strikes, and he's got some velocity, and he had a good off-speed pitch and a split finger that he throws. But he was always around the strike zone and having good command and being able to compete.
All right. Well, towards playoff time in your senior year, you had a couple of really good games. You had a one-hitter, 18 strikeout game, and then against Rhinelander, you had a no-hitter in the regional semifinal. Talk about those games and kind of how it went for you. What's going through your mind when you're so dominant in those games?
I mean, just as here, I'm just trying to give the team a chance to win. Just as much as I can to just keep our team in it and hopefully win the game.
So what has been the difference that you've seen between high school level competition and college level competition?
Trusting your stuff, absolutely. Just trusting your stuff and just having to know that you can do it and that you've done it in the past and just continue to be successful and just as much as you can.
All right. How many pitches do you throw?
4.
4. Okay. What do you have?
Fastball, curveball, slider, and forkball.
Okay. And how long does it take you to master a pitch if you're going to decide to maybe add a fifth? How long do you think it would take you to get that?
I would say probably a long time, like within a couple of years. It's pretty tough because all the different kind of pitch grips and getting comfortable with release point and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
All right. One of the things we said you were from Green Bay East-West, so you're a Packer fan. Also probably a Brewer fan, I imagine. And you had a chance to play at Miller Park while you were in high school. Talk about that experience.
It was really cool. I mean, we actually got to do it twice. We were lucky enough to do it twice. And it was a great experience just being able to kind of take it all in, kind of what the major leaguers are kind of feeling. And it's just a lot of fun.
All right, and I understand that you're also still kind of close to your high school team, that over breaks you'll go and maybe help out, and that's not just you, it's a bunch of former players that end up doing that. What's the thought of going back to your high school and kind of helping out the younger players?
It's just, for me, I mean, I just want our program to continue to be successful and kind of just point kids in the right direction. I know kind of around the time I was there, and there's a lot of kids that want to play college baseball, and just trying to help them with any way they can, any way I can, with whether it's telling them like to go to like showcases or something, or like developing pitches or whatever, any of that kind of stuff. If any questions, whatever.
All right. Talk about then the recovery time after the Sioux Falls game. Now, as we're looking ahead to your upcoming games here at Winona State, what's the process for you for recovery after a long outing? So
the day after we do post work, which is like jump rope and some weights and then some band stuff. So that helps a lot. But otherwise, just rest.
And you think you'll be ready come this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Right. Very good. Well, thank you for being on the show. And
thank you very much.
Good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walk Off. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.